Have you ever walked away from a situation and thought, I should have just stayed quiet? Do you find yourself wasting energy trying to prove your point, defend your name, or react to people who don't deserve your attention? What if silence wasn't weakness, but your greatest weapon? If you're ready to explore the secret psychology behind self-control and emotional mastery, you're in the right place. Before we dive in, hit that subscribe button. Join a community that's focused, not on noise, but on growth, resilience, and inner power. Let's begin. 1. Stillness is not weakness, it's strategy. The modern world often mistakes noise for power. In a time where social media rewards the fastest and loudest voice, where arguments are broadcast for attention, stillness can appear weak, passive, even cowardly. But nothing could be further from the truth. Stillness is not a retreat. It is a strategic pause. It is the conscious decision not to be baited into chaos. It is power cloaked in discipline. The loudest person in the room is not always the strongest. Often, the opposite is true. The one who feels the need to shout, overreact, or dominate every space is typically compensating for something, a lack of control, confidence, or clarity. In contrast, the one who remains composed, measured, and grounded is often the one who commands true respect. Why? Because they are not being ruled by emotion. They have mastered the art of response over reaction. Marcus Aurelius, one of history's greatest Stoic philosophers, ruled over the Roman Empire during times of war and plague. Despite the chaos around him, he cultivated an inner peace, a still center from which he led. In his meditations he wrote, "Nowhere you can go is more peaceful, more free of interruptions than your own soul." This was not poetic idealism. It was instruction. The battlefield is often internal, and winning starts from within. When someone criticizes you or throws a verbal jab your way, the natural urge is to respond, to defend yourself, to retaliate. But what if you didn't? What if you let the moment pass, staying calm, grounded in your own truth? The power in that silence can be unnerving to others. They expect a reaction, they want drama. When you don't give it to them, the attention flips. They are now exposed, unsure of themselves. Your stillness shines a spotlight on their instability. Epictetus taught that it's not events themselves that disturb us, but our judgment about them. If someone insults you, it is not their words that harm you. It is your belief that you must respond. Stillness disrupts this cycle. It allows you to pause, to examine your own thoughts, and to act, not react. Being still does not mean doing nothing. It means doing the right thing at the right time with the right energy. It means being deliberate instead of impulsive, the ability to sit in discomfort, to hold space in silence, to choose your moment. That is the mark of a leader, a warrior, a philosopher. Stillness also reclaims your autonomy. In situations where others try to control the narrative or escalate tension, your silence becomes a wall they cannot climb. You're not avoiding the moment, you're owning it. You are not surrendering, you're rising above the noise. In a world that demands constant reaction, stillness is rebellion. It is clarity. It is a strategy that builds long-term power. And it is earned, not through avoidance, but through discipline, purpose, and presence. 2. Psychological warfare, the silent strategy. In moments of emotional conflict, silence becomes more than a coping mechanism. It becomes a weapon. Not a weapon used to harm, but one used to protect your power, to destabilize manipulation, and to shift the psychological battlefield. When someone tries to provoke you, they are trying to pull you into their frame. They want your emotional investment. They want you to get angry, to get flustered, to lose your balance. This is especially true in toxic relationships, manipulative conversations, or confrontations where the goal is not resolution, but dominance. But what happens when you don't react? What happens when you let their words hang in the air, unanswered? They become unsettled. They begin to question themselves. Did I say something wrong? Why aren't they reacting? Did I lose my grip on them? That's the beauty of the silence strategy. It turns the mirror back on the aggressor. They are left to face their own words, their own tone, their own insecurities. Machiavelli, the Italian political philosopher, understood the subtleties of power. In The Prince, he discussed how control is often maintained not through violence or chaos, but through manipulation, silence, and psychological leverage. In modern emotional conflicts, the same principles apply. The battlefield isn't physical, it's internal, and the one who maintains composure holds the advantage. By refusing to engage in emotional escalation, you signal to others, you don't control me. Silence is not submission, it is sovereignty. It's the power to regulate your internal environment regardless of the external storm. Consider this. If a person throws bait and you never bite, they stop casting the line. Toxic people thrive on attention, on getting a rise out of others. When you deny them that satisfaction, they feel powerless. And more importantly, you protect your own peace. But silence does something even more profound. It forces introspection. The aggressor is left alone with their own intent. Without your emotional reaction to blame or distract them, they must sit with their own behavior. And often, this is more painful than any words you could have used. The silence strategy isn't about winning the argument. It's about avoiding the trap altogether. It's about playing chess while others play checkers. And once you internalize that, you become untouchable. Not because you fought harder, but because you didn't need to. 3. Emotional energy is currency. Spend it wisely. Your emotional energy is one of your most valuable resources. Every day, you wake up with a limited supply. Where you spend it determines your focus, your peace, your productivity, and ultimately, your well-being. Yet many people spend it recklessly. Every argument is a transaction. Every time you respond to a petty insult or involve yourself in a meaningless conflict, you're making a withdrawal. Over time, these small withdrawals add up, and before you know it, your emotional balance is empty. What does an emotional overdraft look like? Fatigue, irritability, anxiety, a sense of being constantly drained. You start losing clarity, reacting to every small trigger and allowing others to dictate your mood. This is not strength. This is emotional poverty. Choosing peace isn't a sign of weakness. It is the highest form of strength. It means you've grown enough to realize that not every battle is worth fighting. It means you've learned to prioritize your energy, to save it for the things that matter, your goals, your values, your inner circle. Think about how many arguments you've walked into that ended with nothing resolved, only more anger, more frustration. Now think about how many of those could have been avoided by simply choosing silence or walking away. That's not avoidance, that's power. People who can't control you emotionally will eventually lose access to you entirely. And that's a boundary, not a punishment. When you stop reacting, you stop feeding their need for validation or control. You make it clear, your peace is not for sale. Not every invitation to conflict needs to be accepted. Just because someone throws a verbal grenade doesn't mean you have to catch it. Let them talk. Let them scream. Let them twist themselves into emotional knots. You're not obligated to enter that space. You're building something bigger. Peace is not passive, it's a daily effort. It takes strength to stay calm when provoked, to stay focused when distracted, to stay kind when mistreated. But every time you do, you are investing in your own future. Your energy is currency. Spend it on things that compound. Spend it on your health, your growth, your mission. Let others waste theirs on drama. That's their choice. Yours is different. In the end, the richest people are not those with money. They are the ones with peace of mind. And that starts with emotional discipline. 4. The power of subtraction. Walking away is winning. Sometimes the most powerful move isn't to fight harder, speak louder, or argue more convincingly. It's to walk away entirely. In a world addicted to confrontation, noise, and proving, a point subtraction seems counterintuitive, but subtraction is not weakness, it's not a concession. It is one of the most underestimated strategies of strength. Subtraction is the art of choosing peace over pride. It's when you realize that not every battle deserves your energy, not every argument deserves your voice, and not every person deserves your continued presence. Walking away is not an act of cowardice. It's an act of control. It shows that you understand the value of your energy, time, and emotional well-being. In toxic environments, people often try to pull you into their storm. They provoke you. They seek your reaction. Because as long as they can keep you engaged, they control the narrative. They feed on drama, chaos, and attention. But when you subtract yourself, silently without theatrics, you remove the fuel from their fire. They are left alone with their chaos, with no one to project it onto. The power of subtraction lies in its finality. Words can be debated, intentions can be twisted, but absence is undeniable. When you're no longer available, no longer texting, back, showing up, responding, or defending, you make a statement without saying a word. Silence becomes your loudest message. In your absence, they're forced to reflect. They have to sit in their own behavior without your energy to distract them from it. Subtraction is especially potent in relationships where emotional manipulation is present. In such cases, the manipulator relies on your participation. They count on you to engage, to argue, to cry, to beg, or to explain. But when you simply walk away and offer nothing, they are robbed of their control. There is nothing more unsettling to someone who thrives on reaction than complete detachment. But walking away isn't just about other people. It's also about your relationship with yourself. It's about choosing your mental clarity over emotional entanglement. It's a way of reinforcing your own worth by refusing to remain in situations that drain you. You say to yourself, "I deserve better," and then you act on it, not through grand declarations, but through decisive exit. This kind of discipline requires self-trust. It requires the courage to leave what's familiar, even if it's unhealthy. It demands the maturity to understand that peace is more valuable than being right. Many people stay in situations because they want closure, or because they feel they need to make others see their side. But true power is when you realize you don't need closure from chaos. You only need closure from within. Walking away doesn't mean you don't care. It means you care enough about your own peace that you're no longer willing to bargain it away for temporary validation. It means you've reached a level of growth where your boundaries are firm, your silence is sacred, and your energy is non-negotiable. Subtraction can apply to habits too. You can subtract distractions, toxic patterns, and even parts of yourself that no longer serve who you are becoming. Sometimes growth isn't about adding more, it's about removing the unnecessary. It's about decluttering your life, your mind, and your emotional world so that your core self can breathe and thrive. In this way, walking away becomes a declaration. I am no longer available for nonsense. I will not co-sign dysfunction. I will not participate in narratives that don't align with my peace. My silence is not submission, it is elevation. So the next time someone tries to bait you into a fight, to pull you into a spiral of emotional chaos, to provoke your energy, remember the option of subtraction. Don't escalate, don't justify, don't retaliate. Just walk away. Let them echo into the void of your absence. And in a world that feeds off noise, your silence will echo louder than any argument ever could. 5. Frame control. Let your life be the response. In the arena of perception, people will lie about you. They will twist your words, misinterpret your silence, project their insecurities onto your actions, and paint you in colors that don't belong to you. The instinct is to correct them, to fight back, to prove yourself right. But that instinct, while natural, often hands over your power. True frame control begins when you stop reacting and start embodying. When you stop chasing someone else's story about you and start living your own, you reclaim the narrative, not with words, but with consistency, peace, and results. You can't control what others say, but you can control the frame through which you operate. The frame is the lens that defines your reality. If they call you unstable but you live with calm, the contrast is undeniable. If they call you lazy but your results speak of effort and discipline, the lie falls flat. When your life contradicts their slander, the truth wins without a fight. The more you react to lies, the more legitimacy you give them. Reaction is energy, and energy gives attention, and attention gives life. But silence suffocates lies. It starves them of validation. It forces observers to notice the disconnect between what's being said and what's being lived. Frame control is rooted in self-mastery. You must be centered enough to resist the temptation of every provocation. Let your discipline be louder than their noise. Let your peace be your protest. Let your purpose drown out their distractions. You see, the truth has a unique gravity. It doesn't always need defense. It needs demonstration. You don't need to say, "I'm not what they say I am." Just keep being the opposite. Over time, lies age poorly, while truth becomes undeniable. There is power in letting the long arc of your life expose what needs to be exposed. This requires emotional intelligence, because you will be tested. People will gossip, misrepresent, and bait you to respond. But remember, whoever frames the situation first often gains psychological advantage. If you start trying to defend yourself within their frame, you're already losing. The better path is to set your own frame, where your energy, actions, and boundaries speak for you. Frame control is especially important in leadership, relationships, and public life. You don't have to clap back. You don't have to make a scene. Instead, adopt a posture of quiet strength. It's not about being passive. It's about being deliberate. You conserve your energy for the things that matter. You show up every day with integrity, clarity, and calm. And over time, people begin to notice the loudest voices often lack depth, while the quietest lives often carry the most weight. Think of frame control like this. You're walking through a storm, and people are yelling at you through the wind. You don't yell back. You keep walking. And the more you walk, the more their voices fade. You're focused on the horizon, on your mission, on what's real. Eventually, your life becomes the message. You no longer need to defend your name. Your name defends itself. You no longer chase respect. It arrives quietly, like gravity, pulled by the weight of your consistency. So let others talk. Let them paint, distort, and dramatize. You keep showing up. You keep building. You keep living with purpose, with discipline, with peace. Let your life be the response, and when the dust settles, the frame will be yours, and it will be unshakable. Silence is a skill. Master it. The world wants a reaction. The algorithm of life rewards outrage, drama, and noise, but those who rise, those who lead, they move in silence. So remember, not every battle deserves your energy. Not every insult needs an answer, and not every attack needs defense. Silence isn't retreat. It's strategy. It's power. it's peace. If this message resonates with you, subscribe and share this with someone who needs to hear it. Master yourself and let the world adjust.